Open my eyes, let me see beauty that made this heart adore you. Hope of a life spent with you. Here I am to worship, here I am to bow down, here I am to say that you're my God. You're altogether lovely, altogether worthy, altogether wonderful to me. King of all days, oh so highly exalted, glorious in heaven above. Humbly you came to the earth you created, all for love's sake became poor. Here I am to worship, here I am to bow down, here I am to say that you're my God. You're altogether lovely, altogether worthy, altogether wonderful to me. Here I am to worship, here I am to bow down, here I am to say that you're my God. You're altogether lovely, altogether worthy, altogether wonderful to me. I'll never know how much it costs to see my sin upon that cross. I'll never know how much it costs to see my sin upon that cross. I'll never know how much it costs to see my sin upon that cross. Here I am to worship, here I am to bow down, here I am to say that you're my God. You're altogether lovely, altogether worthy, altogether wonderful to me. Here I am to worship, here I am to bow down, here I am to say that you're my God. You're altogether lovely, altogether worthy, altogether wonderful to me.
Good morning, St Wilfrid's. Good morning and welcome to our assembly. As we are gathering together, whether we are at school or at home, whatever we're doing today, it's good to be together to remind ourselves that however spread out we have got friends and family and we can see and remember each other. Now you might be wondering why there's a number 20 on the screen this morning. Well, it's because I've got a little challenge for you. How many different ways can we make the number 20? How many different sums can we make up the answer is 20. So here's a very easy one. 10 add 10 is 20. I wonder what else you could think of and say. So I'm going to give you a little quick minute to think of one sum and then we'll have a challenge later on. So let's think of one sum that makes 20. Okay, let's see if it's any of these ones. 10 add 10. Well, I gave you that one, didn't I? What about 1/5 of 100? 1/5 of 100. What about 3 add 10 add 7? Does that work? That works, doesn't it? Or 4 times 5? So all of those, I bet you've got some different ones as well, haven't you? So later on today, here's a little challenge for you. There are lots and lots of different ways of making 20. Adding and subtracting, multiplying and dividing. Your challenge is to have 1 minute and to take 1 minute and see how many different ways you can make 20 with your maths. The answer though is always the same, isn't it? No matter how many different numbers you use, like this, the answer is always 20. It's always the same. And what we're going to do this morning is just think a little bit about different ways, but the same outcome. Different things, but the same end, the same goal, if you like. I'm just going to turn the telly off. There we go. We do things differently, don't we? I bet we do things differently to our parents or to our friends. I wonder if, when you think about how maybe you fold up your clothes or how you write, how do you hold a pen or a pencil and your writing is different, isn't it, to everybody? If you wrote the word hello, your writing would look different to everybody else's. But it's the same thing, isn't it? It's the same word, it's the same goal, it's the same outcome, but it's different. All sorts of goals and all sorts of different ways of getting to them. We've been talking, and we're going to be talking a little bit more over the next couple of weeks, about Paul and the journeys that he went on and the things that he did as part of telling people about God and about God's love. If you remember, he used to persecute the Christians and the people who followed Jesus. And then he met Jesus and his life was transformed. And over the rest of his life, he went on loads of journeys, like we were thinking about last week. Did you make your map of how you get from your home to school? Well, as you can imagine, because Paul had been really mean to Christians, and I mean really mean, and persecuted them, because he did this, there weren't a lot of people who actually believed him or trusted him when suddenly he was there telling everybody that God actually did love them, rather than trying to put them in jail. And when he was trying to convince people that God loved them and tell them the story of Jesus and Jesus' love and sacrifice for them, there were many people that didn't really believe him and they were suspicious because he had behaved in such an appalling way beforehand. I wonder why. Well, I don't think we would believe somebody, would we? If they'd been doing something really horrible one day and the next day they were a completely different person. We wouldn't necessarily believe that they'd really changed, would we? And those people in those days didn't really believe that Paul had changed properly. They thought maybe he was trying to trick them or capture them. One day, as Paul was trying to tell people about Jesus, there was a guy called Barnabas. And Barnabas knew who God was and knew about God's love. And he was the kind of person who loved people and who would give them a hug and would encourage them, and if they were feeling down, would make them feel better. And so Barnabas had a conversation with Paul that went a bit like, people aren't really believing you, are they? But actually, I do believe you, and I do see that God is calling you to tell other people about Jesus. So would you like me to help you to do that? Now, Paul was amazed, and he basically said, yes, please. And so actually Paul and Barnabas then, together as a team, went off and were telling people about God's love. And loads of people suddenly started to believe what Paul was telling them. Paul, when he was explaining about God's love, would explain in a really logical way, a really kind of explaining the Bible sort of way, a teaching sort of way. So he would teach people about God's love with his words, And Barnabas would show people about God's love with his actions. They were two very different people, did things in a different way, but the outcome was the same. Their goal was for loads of people to know about God's love. And so together they made an amazing team, and they worked together really hard, travelling around telling people about God's love. In the end, they got to the point where actually they realised that they wanted to go separate ways and to do things differently and to cover more space, if you like, to cover more people, so that instead of being together, now Paul was trusted in the country and that people believed him. So now it was safe for him to go off and to tell other people about God by himself. And so they went separate ways. They kind of had a bit of a falling out. If you read the story in the Bible, it talks about they fell out and they had a bit of an argument because they do things differently. They wanted the same thing, but they fell out. And I wonder if we sometimes fall out with our friends, don't we? Because we want to do the same thing, but maybe we want to do it slightly differently. So Paul and Barnabas, they were lifelong friends. They were different, but they wanted the same thing. And so they went off and taught people about Jesus in different ways, but doing the same thing. They worked well together. And if we think about all the time in our classroom and in school and at home even, where we've got like, this is the goal, this is the thing that we want to do. And then we work together with other people, with our friends, maybe our teachers, maybe our parents, maybe our carers, but whoever we work together with, we work together to achieve the same goal, even though we might do it a little bit differently. We're going to say thank you to God really for our friends who are different to us, but are still our friends, people that we can do things with, people that we've missed over our time of lockdown, people that we want to spend time with and enjoy being with. And so what we're going to do is maybe hold out our hands and think about our friends, picture them. Can we picture them in front of us? We're going to say thank you, God, for our friends. And maybe you'd like to name them. Maybe you'd like to say the name of a special friend that you want to say thank you to God for this morning. Just like Paul and Barnabas were really good friends. We have really good friends, don't we? So let's say thank you to God for them. Are we ready? Thank you, God, for Matt. Amen. Amen. So your challenge, should you wish to take it up, is to spend a minute thinking of all the different ways you can make 20, and then to think of things to do with your friends and how you are different but the same as them, and say thank you to God for that difference and for the same. Have a good week, whether you're at home or at school or a mixture of both. Have a good week, and I'll see you next week. Bye.